Piaget's research was published decades ago, so it's totally fair to ask how it holds up to our modern understanding of development. By and large, most findings confirm Piaget's theory of sequential development, although these days, scientists see growth in children as a more fluid process, rather than the concrete stages laid out by Piaget. Now we'll turn our heads away from cognitive development and take a look at social development, how we make attachments to our friends and family. The first step of social attachment is stranger anxiety, which is the reason why babies cry when they no longer see the familiar face of their parents. Stranger anxiety itself is the first sign a human shows of attachment, or more generally, emotional ties with others. Physical contact plays a large role in creating attachment, as demonstrated by psychologist Harry Harlow. Harlow gave orphaned monkeys a choice: sleep with a fake monkey mother made from towels and foam, or sleep with a fake monkey with a feeding bottle, but made from a metal wire cage, as we can see on the left there, with the fake monkey made out of cloth and towels on the right. Harlow found that even though the monkeys ate from the bottle, they would always return to the comfortable towel, fake mom, in order to sleep, showing that attachment is, at a certain level, physical. Another key to attachment is familiarity, which baby animals determine soon after they are born. During the critical period, babies latch onto the first animal they see, more often than not, their mother. Some animals, though, such as birds, also go through imprinting during their critical period, where babies will follow whomever they perceive to be their mother. One researcher, Konrad Lorenz, even got ducklings to believe that a bouncing ball was their mother. Fortunately, human children don't experience imprinting, but we see a good example in the picture on this slide, with ducklings following the large, cute, white dog, thinking that it's their mother due to imprinting. Abe, can you give me a couple more details about attachment?
Sure. So about 60% of infants display secure attachment, meaning that they play comfortably when their moms are around and become distressed when their moms leave, but they will seek contact with her when she returns. The other 40% display insecure attachment, meaning they are less likely to explore their surroundings and might cling to their mother. When she leaves, they either cry loudly or seem indifferent to her departure or return. Psychologist Mary Ainsworth found that during the first 6 months of life, sensitive mothers who noticed what their infants were doing and responded appropriately tended to produce infants with secure attachment. And on the other hand, mothers who ignored their infants sometimes tended to produce infants with insecure attachment. But how can we explain this correlation between parental sensitivity and infant attachment? Attachment style is possibly the result of genetically influenced temperament. Temperament is someone's characteristic emotional reactivity and intensity. It's basically part of their fundamental innate nature. An example of a temperament could be intense and fidgety, or maybe quiet and easygoing. And differences in temperament usually last. For example, the most emotionally reactive newborns also tend to be the most reactive 9-month-olds. Now, just a few other points to make. Heredity predisposes differences in temperament, which meaning that your genes influence your temperament. For example, identical twins have more similar temperaments than do fraternal twins, since identical twins have genes that are more similar. Absent mothers and absent fathers are harmful to infants, and anxiety over separation from parents peaks at around 13 months of age, then gradually declines. Finally, children who are securely attached approach life with a sense of basic trust, or a sense that the world is reliable and predictable. Basically, infants born from sensitive, loving caregivers form an attitude of trust rather than fear.
The opposite of this occurs when children are prevented from forming attachments. The deprivation of attachments is one of the most harmful things that can happen to a child during development. Monkeys raised in total isolation were either extremely afraid or aggressive when finally placed alongside their peers, and the females who were raised in isolation were often neglectful, abusive, or even murderous towards their own children. Sadly, the same is true to a certain extent with humans, as 30% of those abused as children become the abuser as an adult. This by no means assumes our outcomes are set in stone. On the contrary, researchers have also noted the extraordinary resilience to trauma exhibited at times by children, such as those who survived the concentration camps of the Holocaust. Regardless of upbringing, all humans enter adolescence with a developed self-concept, or an idea of who you are and what makes you, you. Self-concept starts at a basic level, such as recognizing yourself in a mirror, and becomes more complex as we age, such as an understanding of what we like and don't like, as well as general self-esteem. Myers asserts that there are 3 primary parenting styles, so we'll quickly run through them. First, authoritarian. Imagine if Hitler was your dad. You either clean your room or you get shot. Not quite that extreme, but rules are strictly enforced and rarely explained.
Yeah, this is gonna be great. Yeah. Dad, aren't you proud of me?
That's terrible. Go to your room. It's past your bedtime.
It's only 6:30.
Don't care. Go to your room. Second is permissive, the exact opposite of authoritarian. Parents cave in easily to their kids' demands and rarely enforce rules.
Oh, Daddy, I need more money.
Sure,
Please.
Sonny. How much do you need?
Oh, like 50,000. Come on, a little
Hey.
more.
Anything for my little boy.
Thanks, Daddy.
Of course.
Third and finally is authoritative, the happy medium between the first two. Parents set rules, but explain why the rules exist. This parenting style has been shown to produce children with higher self-esteem and social confidence. The cool kids at your school have authoritative parents. Abe, let's switch topics here. Tell me a little bit about how culture affects child rearing.
Sure. So basically, child rearing practices vary depending on your culture. Westernized cultures tend to value children who are independent, who are true to themselves, and who set their own goals. On the other hand, Asians and Africans tend to value emotional closeness and encourage a strong sense of family self, such that what shames the child shames the family, and what honors the family also honors the child. Now let's move on to gender development. The idea of gender includes the biologically and socially influenced characteristics by which people define male and female. So for example, if you ask someone to describe a man, they might say taller, more muscular, deeper voice, assertive, more aggressive. Now, overall, men and women are largely similar, but some important differences exist. Women, compared to men on average, enter puberty 2 years later, live 5 years longer, and have 40% less muscle. Men are more physically aggressive than women, but there isn't much of a difference between men and women in terms of verbal or relational aggression. In most societies, men are socially dominant and tend to share their opinions more, while women tend to express more support. Boys play in large groups with an activity focus and little intimate discussion, while girls play in smaller groups, maybe with just one friend, and are less competitive. Females are more interdependent, as teen girls spend more time with friends, less time alone, and more time on social media. Women use conversation to explore relationships, while men enjoy doing activities side by side, tending to use conversation to communicate solutions. And when looking for someone to share worries and hurts, both men and women usually turn to women, and both genders report relationships with women to be more intimate, enjoyable, and nurturing. Now, interestingly enough, many of these gender differences disappear by age 50. Men become more empathetic and less domineering, and women become more assertive and self-confident. The nature of gender. So mothers always pass down an X chromosome. If your father passed down another X chromosome, you're a girl. But if you pass down a Y chromosome, you're a male. The Y chromosome has a single gene triggering the testes to develop and for the production of testosterone. Both male and females have testosterone, but males have more. There are also differences in the brains of males and females in areas with abundant sex hormone receptors. For example, parts of the frontal lobe an area connected to verbal fluency, are thicker in women. Now, what happens in the scenario where a female embryo is exposed to excessive testosterone? These female infants are born with masculine appearing genitals and tend to act in more tomboyish ways than do most normal girls. The tomboyishness derives from biological reasons, aka the testosterone exposure, but also from social reasons. What I mean is that given that these tomboyish girls tend to look more masculine and are known as different, they can be treated more like boys and thus are drawn more towards tomboyish behavior. You know, Frank, I'm glad we talked through all that developmental psychology.
Yeah, Abe, I don't think we've changed that much after all.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.
And comment down below if you have any questions at all.
We'll catch you guys next time.